So if you're an American, there's a good chance that you are being screwed over by the major credit bureaus, both in ways that you can recognize by trying to figure out information, fix errors and things like that, but also in a lot of ways that aren't clear. And sometimes it takes like news of a gigantic data breach to make clear how ridiculous a system we've set up for credit reports and credit scoring. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gets that and is able to communicate it like with other issues in a way that few can. And so this started earlier this month when a Twitch streamer tweeted about how difficult it is to fix your credit score when you were already poor and how they hurt each other, those situations. And she responded saying a good moment to note that in the wake of the Equifax scandal, privatized credit scoring is a dice game and the credit score system is very broken too. If only someone could do a financial services hearing about that. Well, it turns out there was someone. It was her. And so a little bit later on this month, she did that. And so she was speaking with Mark Begor, CEO of Equifax, and they had a couple of extremely important interactions that I want to show just a few snippets of. So first, on consent. How much consent do we actually provide to these corporations? What happens from all of that?
Do consumers or everyday people ever explicitly consent to giving their data to you?
Is that for me again, Congresswoman? Sorry. There is not a consent by the consumer to give us the data.
So consumers own their data, but credit bureaus collect their information without their consent.
That's correct, Congresswoman, but as we talked earlier in the testimony, there's a number of tools available to consumers to really control their data and freeze it or lock it.
But there's no way that they can prevent you from collecting it.
Yeah, I love that follow-up. So she asked him, so you do this without consent, right? And you can tell that it flashes through his mind, I don't want to be the guy saying that I do stuff without consent, but I got nothing. So yeah. Like some of the information that will more than any other determine what happens to you economically in so many different areas of your life, literally from getting loans, being able to get a mortgage for a house and all that, to even getting certain types of jobs and all of that can be determined by information that you have very little control over. You don't even necessarily know all the people that are looking at it. If there are errors with it, you have little recourse to actually do something about that. And this guy can talk about freezing and blocking and stuff. There's a lot of people across the country that would have loved to have had a freeze on both the collection and the distribution of their information when another one of these massive data breaches happened. Affecting, by the way, the last time in December, 147 million people, which I count as a very significant chunk of all of the people living in the US that are not children and don't yet have to worry about their credit scores. So great job there in the first interaction. There's another though. We turn now to the error rate of these organizations and how consequential those can be.
You know, credit scores are life-altering pieces of information, and monitoring credit is incredibly important. And, we've seen here by reports issued by this committee that 1 in 5 consumers have had an error on their credit report. There's about 60 members on this committee. That means 12 members here, either currently or in the past, have had an error on their credit report. If parachutes had a 1 in 5 error rating, I don't think a lot of people would go skydiving. And now we're talking about people's homes. We're talking about their ability to get a job. We're talking about people assessing whether they would be a good janitor based on their credit score.
I like the metaphor. She's right. If there was a 1 in 5 chance of your parachute failing, you would not jump out of a plane. I don't jump out of a plane because I kind of feel in my gut that there is like a 20% failure rate. I know that that's got to be wrong, and yet it feels that way, and I don't want to take a chance. But she's right. And look, obviously the consequences aren't that if there's an error on your credit report, you will splatter somewhere across Missouri. But it's really bad though, and if you can't get a car, or if you can't get a house, or you can, but you're going to end up spending far, far more for that, that is very consequential. And to have that level of control over your economic future being determined by corporations that you have no say over, being protected by politicians that receive massive amounts of money from those corporations with hacks, because obviously the security is little better protected than you are from errors in the reporting, that is not something that can exist. And I would actually put her questioning in this credit bureau hearing on the same level as her corruption game that she did with campaign finance, where What she is doing, now obviously she's better prepared than any regular person, but what she is doing is very much, not in the hypothetical, but specifically representing what a real person thinks and would want to know about these topics. Because campaign finance and how the credit bureaus function traditionally and to this day in America makes 0 sense to any regular person that is not receiving checks from them. Nobody understands why credit scores work the way they do, why it is still so difficult to find out what all your scores are, to find out what is influencing your score, why one of the most perverse things imaginable that if you check your score, an act of financial responsibility that negatively impacts your credit score, to a regular person that makes 0 sense. And once again, AOC is able to make that incredibly clear in a way that thankfully before the country went crazy Wednesday because of Michael Cohen, went viral. I hope that this is not the end. I hope that we finally have fundamental structural reform to how the credit reporting agencies actually function. And if that happens, we'll probably be able to credit AOC for that. Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.